Hey guys, it's Ananda here once again, bringing you yet another Total War Warhammer Online 2 battle commentary. And today I'll be playing as the Dark Elves, as you guys can see over here. I'm gonna pause the battle actually because it's gonna go by really quickly. So I have Malekith on the dragon, a lot of spells which I'll go through slowly when I do more and more videos, but roughly I'll just go through with you guys some of the abilities that I find very unique about him. Once on the dragon, he causes terror and fear, obviously. A very expensive general for the Dark Elves, almost 3.5 3,500 gold. And that is with some of the abilities that I took off. So some of the abilities that I have is the Spiteful Conjuration, which is a hex, and it's a constant effect every time I cast. It gives minus 15 armor to my opponent. And then I have another one, is Supreme Spell Shield, which allows me to debuff the enemy's power reserve if he is using a mage. And also have this Destroyer, is a weapon. It's a hex as well, which increases the ability recharge of my opponent, which is very useful if they're in range. Next I have Noxious Breath. It comes with the dragon. Now there are quite a lot of addition to flying dragons in this game, and each of the dragon has a unique ability, which is a unique breath ability. They spit out the different stuff depending on what kind of dragon they are. And then next, I have the Power of Darkness. It's an active ability on Malekith, and it enables me to increase my power reserves while causing damage to myself. Kind of like the Manfred's von Carstein's ability. And then Chill Wind, which is a wind ability, really cheap, and it causes a straight line, which causes some damage as well as decreases my enemy's movement speed. One of the most value for the cost spell, in my opinion, on Malekith, because it only costs 5 and the effect is quite a lot. It damages the enemy as well as slows them down, which is pretty good. And then I have Soul Stealer, it's an area of effect ability, the most powerful spell on him, which is a area of effect ability which causes damage to enemies, and it absorbs their hit points, and it in turn heals Malekith for it. And it costs 18 magic, but coupled with the Power of Darkness, you can replenish on the magic pretty quickly. And then of course there's Stand Your Ground. So let's take a look at my army build over here. Pretty missile heavy build. The Dark Elves have some of the best archers, missile units in the game. High Elves as well. Not so much for lizardmen and Skaven. But let's go through my build a little bit. I have 3 units of Black Art Corsairs over here. Really cheap infantry unit. Pretty cheap infantry unit. And I just need them for my main line to hold the enemy. And then I have 4 units of Dread Spears over here. Once again, to hold the line. They have really high melee defense, pretty good leadership as well, and I just need them to hold the line while my missile and my monsters do the damage. Primarily my damage comes from my these guys over here. These are the Shades, one of the most unique units for Dark Elves. Probably not in the whole game. I think I have some other more unique units, but they have 2 weapons. They have the hand crossbows, which fires really quickly, as well as a sword. And you can see their stats. They cost 900 gold, and they have 40 melee attack and 32 melee defense, which is really high. So you can use them both as a missile unit and as a melee infantry unit, which is why I didn't bring any other missile units, because I brought 4 of them, and they do armor piercing missile damage as well, and they have pretty high range. So overall, a very good unit for how much they cost. They come with the great swords as well, but they cost I think 1100 gold. So basically, this is my army. Oh, I missed out on the last one. This guy over here, it is a War Hydra. Very cool looking unit, and pretty awesome abilities as well. They can regen. They have regeneration. They cost terror and fear, as well as they have the ability as well, the breath ability, as I said before. The dragons and monsters, some of them have the breath ability. You can use it 3 times, and each time you use it, they fire 5 fireballs, because they're 5 hits out of their mouth, which is really cool. And they also have a unique passive ability which if they have less than 50% health, they'll replenish a hit point of the War Hydra. So they'll keep healing even more if it's less than 50%. Obviously there's a cap to it over here, as you guys can see, but you can see 7,000 health and the cap is 5,000, so really high health unit. Pretty good stats as well. Armor piercing, very high weapon damage, very high melee attack, as well as the breath ability. Very value for money. I'm facing the lizardmen, as you guys can see. Sorry that I paused the battle because it's gonna happen really fast because this map is really small. He has Kroggar on the T-Rex. I think it's the one that starts with C. Is pretty good unit. Not very expensive compared to Mazamundi, so pretty good value for money. Pretty good stats as well. Very high weapon strength, anti-large, armor piercing, for a very cheap price. And here's a couple of temple guards. Let me count how many temple guards you have. 3 units of temple guards, and then 3 units of skin cohorts, and a couple of Saurus spears. I think he brought artillery as well. I think he brought a Bastilon with a solar engine over here. I think he brought 2 of them if I remember correctly. No, he brought 1 Bastilon with the solar engine, which is a artillery piece, very strong, as well as a Bastilon with a revive crystal. It's kind of like the ability which the undead have. It resurrects dead combatant and as well as replenishes hit points. Very strong, very good unit as well. As for 1,000 gold, you can double up as a melee Bastilon as well. High armor, high health, and there's 10 charges for the revive. So very good price point for what it does. And then here's some hidden units of Cold 1 Spear Riders as well as Skin Skirmishers. And the battle is going to start, and I'm going to slowly give you guys a walkthrough of what happened in the battle. Because there's a Vanguard deployment for the Shades, I placed both of them on the hill, and you can see how much damage they do within a couple of volleys that they fire, especially against the Bastilon. Take note, the Bastilon has 140 armor, so in a couple of volleys, you can see how much damage they have done. Almost half of their health each for the Bastilon. So push them a little bit back, force them to go back a bit, and you can see 2 to 3 volleys and they're half health. So very deadly, very strong unit, the Shades. For how much they cost. They are pretty expensive for a missile unit, but you gotta remember they have armor piercing missiles as well as very high melee stats. So I engaged my guys over here just to hold them in place. The temple guards are going to obviously win the fight over here, but with the support of my Shades as well as my general, as you guys can see in just a bit, I'm going to fire some missiles from its mouth. With the support of my general, you can see how the cockroach just walked past them. You can see they actually are holding up pretty well, not too bad. And I'm gonna come in from the flank with my War Hydra to support the enemy. I mean my troops, not my enemy. Sorry. Kroggar came all the way back here to engage my spears. Pretty weird because my Shades were here, but I had another spear protecting it. So you can see the breath ability and the missiles coming out. You can see the temple guards, they kind of lost to my Black Ark Corsairs because of the missile fire that they were taken, as well as the terror and fear that was caused. And over here on the left flank, I have just 2 units of spears. You can see just how these 2 units of spears are holding up 4 units of my enemy. I have the Shades covering them, and if I need to, I can send them in as melee. So very good unit once again. I must emphasize on that. And yeah, he's tied up all around because I engaged first, so my missiles are kind of free to do whatever they want. And my War Hydra over here is doing really well against the Skin Cohort and Saurus Spears. And my next thing I want to take out was the artillery piece, the 2 Bastilon support units. And you can see trying to focus fire on Kroggar, but it's not that great of an angle because they're firing up. And the cool thing about the Dark Elves is they have this mechanical murderous prowess. If you kill enough units, it will proc and then it will buff the units for 90 seconds. And there's really pretty significant buff, so you want to play aggressive as the Dark Elves. coming in with Malekith to do a hammer and anvil strikes against these Saurus spears. These guys are winning pretty well over here on the right. My middle, I kind of won against the temple guards, probably due to the numbers. You remember that his army is split on the right and on the left. I have only 2 units of spears, so still holding up against the skin cohorts and the skin skirmishers. And remember, Kroq-Gar was there as well to support them. Probably if he had sent Kroq-Gar to the middle, then maybe, just maybe, Kroq-Gar could have boosted the morale of his troops and they will not have lost so easily. And he didn't bring any mage as well, which might cost him because of the buffs and debuffs. I didn't really need a mage. I mean, I have a mage, but most of his abilities are damaging and to slow down the enemies because of the mechanics that the Dark Elves have regarding the buffs. So you can see I'm just clearing up his army over here. He kind of routed my War Hydra pretty good because remember, Kroq-Gar has anti-large and does an insane amount of damage. You can see almost 700 damage just now when he was buffed. But most of his army is gone, as you guys can see, just his Bastillon left, which is getting taken care of by my Dread Spears over here. The units look really awesome, and I'm really liking the new mechanics that each of the new faction have. And yeah, I lost one of my Black Ark Corsairs over there, but no worries, I still have all 4 of my shades left. These are the ones that are actually the most important units in my army for this particular army build, because they're the ones dealing the most damage. Now I'm gonna focus fire on Kroq-Gar himself. And you can see Malekith still has a lot of health. I've been constantly using the ability to increase my power, and I use the Soul Leech ones as well over here. As you guys can see, Malekith is regaining health, as you guys can see over here. So, pretty decent battle, I would say. The shades definitely helped me out quite a bit, and they did a lot of damage. You can see now I'm just sending them in to fight some of the remaining Saurus spears, and they do really well, even though they don't have armor piercing for the melee stats, but really high stats for what they are, dual purpose infantry. And you can see in the result screen, one of the unit almost got 100 kills. My main line did pretty well as well, surprisingly against the temple guards. You can see just how much damage that they have done. Main line did pretty well as well as Malekith. Didn't really use him much against the ground units because they were doing pretty well themselves, but I used him for his abilities and to cause damage as well with his breath and his damaging mage abilities. War Hydra did really well by itself as well, obviously, and yeah, liking the game so far. I'm gonna be churning out more videos for you guys and maybe come up with some army builds. So hope you guys enjoy this battle, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.